So I'm curious about what Aralamb says
Just let me know.
about, yeah, sure, the Sumerians
Yes.
and the pyramids.
Yep.
And yeah, I studied this in school, and it never
Yep.
made sense. And I raised
Yep.
my arm, and I'm like, these
Yeah.
got to be much older. What happened here? And
Yeah.
yeah,
So Aralam is saying the Sumerian story, the Sumerian ET story is exactly correct. It is exactly, he's saying 100% correct. The Sumerians were overseen by these original species, and the Sumerians, what they carved and what they wrote about, and the lifestyle that was on the planet at that time is exactly correct. He also says that the biblical Nephilim, the giants, the Nephilim, right? That was another thing that the Anunnaki did that they were not supposed to do. These reptilian races were not supposed to directly breed with these new human us, right? They weren't supposed to do it. And they went ahead and did that anyway. And they were not supposed to do that. And so what happened were these hybrids, and that was all truth too. It's interesting because Aralam talks about as well so much of the ancient history, the ancient history in the Bible, which is looked on as pure mythology, many of those pieces of the mythology are actually very historically correct on the planet. Now he's saying all of the control issues that were put into the Bible much later, he's saying not so much, because it became a religion that was very, he's saying it was very much a religion that was co-opted eventually by all of these off-world species who needed to keep us all in a row, needed to keep us in some containment. Also, he's saying they really didn't want us to understand that our souls were so powerful, right? They didn't want us to understand that, because we would have rebelled. Aralam is saying you never would have gone through 200,000 years of civilizations being risen and fallen and the slavery and the whole thing. You wouldn't have done it. You wouldn't have done it. We wouldn't have as a species. So the pyramids, Aralam is saying right now, the original, the three pyramids, he says, the three pyramids that people go to see, and many of them that are all over the world, because there are pyramids, and he's saying this as well about the 10,000, about the 10 years. He's saying the 10 years, the next 10 years on this planet, so many more of these pyramids are going to be found. Pyramids in Antarctica are going to come out for sure and not just be conspiracy. Pyramids in Russia, in China, in Egypt. They're all energy generators. They were all connected as energy generators for these ancient civilizations that literally sort of created us. Okay. He's saying that the idea, again, that we are told that they were built 3,000 years ago he says it's ludicrous. And science is beginning to see that. He's also saying right now, with all of this ancient science and all of these stories that are falling apart, because he's saying, Yannicka, they're all falling apart. The old stories are falling apart because because science is now proving that they're not true. But he's saying what you're seeing is this. Now that all of these off-world species are really, most of them, he says 90% of them are off-world now. They aren't here. But who is left here are some of the humans in the higher echelons of the sort of powerful elites, if you will. Okay, they're in the high echelons. The humans who worked under these reptilian species are still on the planet. And he says they didn't necessarily get to immediately leave the planet with he's saying their bosses or their overseers. So they're still here trying to figure out, he's saying right now, they're trying to hold on to as much power as they can, or they're trying to just disappear themselves, right? And he's also saying right now that, interestingly enough, and he says this is a whole different topic, Yannicka, but many of the high-profile deaths that you see of people in very high-profile, he's saying professions and religions and politics and the whole thing, he says some of these deaths that you've seen in the last 10 years were these off-world species who were on the planet, and now they have a death here and they just are leaving the planet. So they're not dead, but to us, oh, they passed away, right? Because it's a bit, he says the idea here too is that the council and the Pleiadians and the tall whites and everyone that's trying to help humanity, all of these nefarious off-world species that are leaving, they would love to leave and see us in flames, but they're not allowed to do that. Aralam says, one of the other things that the Creator God put in that covenant is that when they leave, they cannot burn the building down as they go, but they would like to. They would like to. And so that's being blocked from happening as well. That's being blocked from happening as well.
Oh wow, this is it's a bit dark, I gotta say.
It's
I
usually not, but it's funny because you're asking questions that are all sort of geopolitical and spiritual
I
versus kind of, which is
yeah. I've been curious about that. No, it's very good to hear that we are surrounded by angels
yes.
and
And so Aralamb is saying right now, he's saying, but Yannicka, he's saying it really isn't dark in that it should let people understand that there are so many good souls, angels, everyone on the other side wants us to win, and we are going to. So we're going to make it through this time. And he says, parts of even the end time stories that were in the Bible, they weren't meant to be taken as literally as people take them. What it really was he's saying cataclysmic change in a paradigm shifting way. So much of the cataclysmic change that was written about in the end of the times with the Bible, he's saying, it wasn't about the world burning. It was about what we believe the world has been begins to end in a positive way. We shift. And
Is that
he's saying right now too, yes, we're getting he's saying, Yannicka, that is exactly correct. He's saying what it is that humanity right now is shifting back into who we really are, right? Mm-hmm. He's saying as children of creation, we've always been told that we are something different than we really are, And he says he's saying right now, it's not about people being perfect. It's not about people not making mistakes. It's not about having lives that are imperfect. What it is about is understanding that every single day when you wake up, you can decide, how am I going to show up for this day? Am I going to show up an evolved, open soul who tries to do the best that I can do, who tries not to hurt others, who tries to see things from both sides, who tries to bring the light of the universe in and share it with other people, right? Those are the decisions. And he's saying people on the planet Earth, souls on the earth have struggled forever with the victim piece of it. I'm powerless. I can't change my life because of ABC, he's saying. I can't change my life because of this situation. I can't change my life because of this trauma or this thing that happened to me or this thing physically with me or that person, he's saying. But the truth of it is, you can change your life every second of your day if you want to do that. He says, so that is the good news. Even though getting there feels a little dark, Yannicka, he's saying getting there feels a little dark. But he's saying right now, the darkest points in human history have already happened.
Yeah, I've heard
he says the powers that be, and Aralamb hates television. He hates it. He'll say to people, you cannot watch the news. You cannot do that all the time. You can't do it. Because he says the few people that are on the planet that still want to control you and disconnect you, they tend to be the people who are telling you that everybody is going to die. He says they want you to be on fire every day. If it's the environment or it's money or it's your health, whatever it is, it's all on fire. And he's saying right now, Yannicka, the world is not on fire. Because he says, honestly, there are more positive voices in the world than there are negative voices. There are more positive souls on the planet right now. He's saying, Yannicka, there are more powerful, positive souls doing good work across the board, he's saying, than have ever been on the planet in our history, ever.
To watch the full video, click the link below, and I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel.